Namaste. I am Dr. B. Krishna Reddy, Principal, Samala Krishna Agricultural Polytechnic College, Tangela Varipalli, near Mudivedu, Tamballapalli Mandal, Chittoor district. So today we are going to study lecture number 16. This is the last lecture in course number DAE 153, that is Engineering Chemistry, meant for Diploma in Agriculture Engineering students. So this lecture number 16 deals with rubbers and its components of rubber, vulcanization of rubber, silicon rubber, properties and uses. So rubber, it is also known as elastomers. These rubbers are high polymers having elastic properties in excess of 300%. So up to last class, we have studied polymers of plastics, that is how the plastics are made up of and various types of plastics, and we understand that the plastics are made up of, they are nothing but polymers made up of chains of so many monomers. That means plastics also one type of polymers. Now we are going to study the rubber. This rubber is also one type of polymer. Since it is elastic in nature, they are also known as elastomers, that is elastic and polymers combined together. This word elastomers is used. So rubbers are also known as elastomers. These are high polymers having quality of elastic nature. That is సాగే గుణం ఉంటుంది. How much elasticity is? Excess of 300%. That is more than 300% elasticity will be there for the rubber products. Example, a rubber band can be stretched to 4 to 10 times of its original length. If you take a rubber band, it can be stretched minimum 4 times to 10 times of its original length. And as soon as the stretching force is released, it returns to its original length. In case of rubbers, what happens? When you stretch it, it becomes lengthier than its original length. Then when we release the stretching force, it regains its original length. This is the nature of rubber. Then, in unstretched condition, an elastomer molecule is not straight chained as in case of plastic fibers like nylon or polythene. In the last class, we have studied about nylon and polythene, which were also polymers formed due to the joining of so many monomers in a linear or straight chains. So nylon and polythenes were straight chain like structures containing so many monomers as its units. But here in this case of elastomers, they are not straight chains. They are in fact are in the coil forms, that is ఉండలు ఉండలుగా చుట్టినట్టు కాయిల్స్ లాగా చుట్టి ఉంటాయి. So it can be stretched like a spring. So like a spring, when it is the molecule of this elastomer is in the form of a coil, so it can be stretched like a spring. The unstretched rubber is amorphous in nature. So if you see the unstretched rubber, then it is having amorphous nature. As stretching is done, the macromolecules get partially aligned with respect to each other, thereby causing crystallization, making the material stiff. So, when stretching is done, these elastomers, which are macromolecules, that is, their size is bigger, they these molecules will get aligned with respect to each other and thereby causes crystallization, which results the material becoming very stiff. On release of the deforming stress, the chain gets reverted back to their original coiled state and the material again becomes amorphous. So, when we release the stretching force, then the stretched monomers, I mean this elastomer, coiled back once again and attains his original state. And it all once again revert back from crystallization stage to amorphous stage. This is how rubber behaves when it is stretched and when it is released from the stretching force. So this is a schematic diagram of this polyisoprene, one type of rubber and its structure. This is called elastomer chain. So polyisoprene is the type of rubber that has been shown in this example. You can see how these monomers of isoprene. This isoprene formula is C5H8. You can see CH2 double bond connected to another carbon and CH3 CH double bond CH2. This is the molecular structure of the isoprene consisting of 5 carbon atoms and 8 hydrogen atoms. The structure will be like this, and this is instead of being a straight line, it's look like a coil. This is how it behaves. When it is stretched, it becomes straight. When the stretching force releases once again, it becomes a coil. So natural rubber. Natural rubber is an addition polymerization product of isoprene monomers. So like plastics, this natural rubber is also addition polymers. So earlier we have studied under plastic there are plastic materials that are formed due to addition polymerization and some are due to condensation polymerization. Here in case of natural rubber it is formed due to addition polymerization of monomers of isoprene. So natural rubber consisting of basic material latex, which is dispersion of isoprene. So this natural rubber, which is available in the latex form, is nothing but dispersion of isoprene monomers in the liquid form. During the processing treatment, these isoprene molecules polymerize to form a long coiled chain of polyisoprene. When this latex material, which is nothing but a isoprene monomers liquid, When it is treated, it will form into polymer, bigger molecules due to the joining of isoprene monomers in large numbers and form as a long coiled chain of polyisoprene. The molecular weight of raw material, raw rubber or raw natural rubber is about 1 lakh to 1.5 lakh grams. That is very big molecules. Or it can be called in terms of Daltons also. 1 Dalton means is equal to grams per mole. So the molecular weight of the raw natural rubber is as high as 1 lakh to 1,50,000 grams. Then we can see how the isoprene molecular structure looks like here. The formula is C5H8. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 carbon molecules. Attached to the carbon molecules are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hydrogen atoms. Okay, so this hydrogen and carbon in the ratio C5 and H2 is the monomer of isoprene. When this type of isoprene is treated due to addition polymerization, cis polyisoprene will form. How it forms? Addition polymerization. So here it will, the carbon atoms which are joined by two bonds will become one bond here, and this carbon atom joins with the hydrogen of other atom, like as shown here. You can see here isoprene unit, one isoprene unit connecting to the other isoprene unit, and this in turn connected to the another isoprene unit. Like that, it will form a very long chain. Unlike in plastics where the chain will be straight, in case of these rubbers, the chain will be in the coil form, as we already seen. So this is the structure of natural rubber. Students are expected to learn this. Then obtaining the latex. Natural rubber is made from the sap called latex of a wide range of plants like rubber, Hevea brasiliensis, and goyule, found in tropical and semi-tropical countries. So this natural rubber is obtained from the plant saps. Sap means some sort of latex అంటే పాల లాంటి ద్రవ పదార్థం. కొన్ని చెట్ల బెరడును కత్తితో కట్ చేసినట్లయితే పాలలాగా చిక్కగా ఉండేటువంటి ఒక ద్రవ పదార్థం అనేది ఊరుతుంది. దాన్నే లేటెక్స్ అంటాము. ఈ లేటెక్స్ అనేది కొన్ని జాతి మొక్కలైనటువంటి రబ్బర్ మొక్క, గొయ్యూలు అనేటువంటి మొక్కలు రెండింటి నుండి వస్తుంది. ఈ రబ్బర్ దాన్నే హెవియా బ్రెజిలియన్స్ అంటారు. ఈ మొక్కలు ట్రాపికల్ అండ్ సెమీ ట్రాపికల్ కంట్రీస్లో లైక్ ఇండియా, శ్రీలంక, ఇండోనేషియా, మలేషియా, థాయిలాండ్ అండ్ సౌత్ అమెరికా లాంటి దేశాల్లో ఈ మొక్కలు పెరుగుతాయి. ఇవిటి లేటెక్స్ అంటే ఇవిటి యొక్క చెట్టు బెరడును కత్తితో కట్ చేసినప్పుడు మిల్క్ లాగా వస్తుంది. దాన్ని కలెక్ట్ చేసుకొని దాన్నే న్యాచురల్ రబ్బర్ అని అంటాం. The rubber latex or a milky liquid rubber is obtained by making incision in the bark of a rubber tree. సో ఇంతకు ముందు చెప్పుకున్నట్టు రబ్బర్ చెట్టు యొక్క బెరడును కత్తితో ఘాట్లు పెట్టినట్టయితే the sap which comes out is allowed to flow out into a small vessel. ఆ ఘాట్ల నుండి వైట్ లేటెక్స్ పదార్థం ఏదైతే కావుతుందో దాన్ని చిన్న పాత్రలోనే కలెక్ట్ చేసుకుంటారు. Tapping is usually done at an interval of about 6 months on a given tree. Tapping అంటే collection of latex from the tree. ఆ ప్రాసెస్ని ట్యాపింగ్ అంటాము. ఈ ట్యాపింగ్ ప్రక్రియ రబ్బర్ మొక్కల్లో సంవత్సరానికి 2 సార్లు, అంటే 6 నెలలకు ఒకసారి ట్యాప్ చేస్తారు. అంటే 6 నెలల వ్యవధిలో ప్రతి చెట్టు నుండి రిపీటెడ్గా ఈ బార్క్ను కత్తితో కట్ చేస్తారు. అప్పుడు ఆ చెట్టు యొక్క బెరడు నుండి ఈ పాలు లాంటి లేటెక్స్ పదార్థము ఊరి అక్కడ కట్టినటువంటి చిన్న వెజల్స్ లోకి వస్తుంది. Then the latex from the small vessels is emptied into a buckets and transferred to a factory for treatment. ఇలాగా కారినటువంటి లేటెక్స్ పదార్థాన్ని బకెట్లలో నింపుకొని ఫ్యాక్టరీకి తరలిస్తారు. ఆ తర్వాత దాన్ని కొన్ని ట్రీట్మెంట్లు చేసి రబ్బర్గా వాడడం అనేది జరుగుతుంది. సో ప్రాసెసింగ్ ఆఫ్ లేటెక్స్, ఈ తీసుకున్నటువంటి లేటెక్స్ని ఎలా ప్రాసెస్ చేస్తారంటే, లేటెక్స్ ఈజ్ డైల్యూటెడ్ to contain between 15 to 20% of rubber and filtered to eliminate any dirt present in. So first, the collected latex is diluted in such a way that the diluted solution will have 15 to 20% concentration, and after dilution it will get eliminated from the dirt will get eliminated from this solution. After removal of the dirt, then acetic acid or formic acid is added at the rate of 1 kg per 200 kg of rubber. After cleaning the natural rubber latex by washing, then it will be added with acetic acid or formic acid at the rate of 1 kg per 200 grams of rubber, 200 kgs of rubber. Then rubber gets coagulated to soft white mass. So when this chemical is added, acetic acid, the coagulation process will take place and the latex becomes white soft mass. This coagulated mass is called coagulum. So from latex, after coagulation, we will get a white mass like substance named coagulum. This coagulum is washed and then treated to get either crepe rubber or smoked rubber. So this coagulum, white mass substance, will be washed and it will be treated to get either crepe rubber or smoked rubber. Then how you get a crepe rubber and smoked rubber? Let us see. Crepe rubber. The coagulum is allowed to drain for about 2 hours. So the so-called coagulum which we obtained will be allowed to drain for 2 hours. Then it is passed through a creeping machine, a machine called creeping machine. This machine consisting of essentially of 2 rollers, each about 50 centimeters wide, placed at 3 mm apart, with a longitudinal grooves upon which water is sprayed. So this creeping machine will have a rollers with a longitudinal grooves, అంటే గ్రూవ్స్ కలిగినటువంటి రోలర్స్ మీద నీళ్లు స్ప్రే చేయబడుతుంటాయి. అలాంటి స్ప్రే చేయబడుతున్నటువంటి రోలర్స్ మధ్యలోకి ఈ కోయాగులాన్ని పంపిస్తారు. The spongy coagulum is converted into sheet when passed between the rollers. రోలర్స్ మధ్యలో ఎప్పుడైతే ఈ కోయాగులాన్ని పెట్టి పంపిస్తామో అది క్రష్ కాబడి 2 రోలర్స్ మధ్య ఒక షీట్ లాగా ఫామ్ అవుతుంది. This sheet possesses an uneven rough surface resembling the crepe paper. సో ఈ ఏర్పడినటువంటి షీట్ ఏదైతే ఉందో చూడడానికి అనీవన్ హెచ్చుతగ్గులు ఉన్నటువంటి అనీవన్ సర్ఫేస్ ఉన్నటువంటి ఒక షీట్ లాగా కనపడుతుంది కాబట్టి దీన్నే మనము క్రీప్ రబ్బర్ అంటాం. ఇట్ లుక్స్ లైక్ ఏ క్రీప్ పేపర్, అంటే అనీవన్ సర్ఫేస్ ఉన్నటువంటి పేపర్ లాగా ఉంటుంది కాబట్టి దీనికి క్రీప్ రబ్బర్ అని పేరు. దిస్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ ఏ creep paper or creep rubber. Okay. Then the second type of rubber, which is manufactured out of natural rubber coagulum, is the smoked rubber. The coagulation is carried out in the long tank having sides with metal plates. The coagulum formed is in the form of a tough slabs. These slabs are passed through rollers which give a ribbed pattern to the rubber sheets that are formed due to rolling action. Here also the coagulum, which is in the form of a tough slabs, will be collected and it will be kept between two rollers and it will be crushed. Because of this nature of the rollers, the coagulum substance get ribbed patterns and a sheet-like structure is formed due to the rolling action. These sheets then are hung in a smoke house for about 4 days at 40 to 50 degrees centigrade temperature. So these sheets, after passing through the rolling machine, they are hanged in a smoke house for 4 days at 40 to 50 degrees centigrade. Then this type of rubber which is obtained in this process is known as smoked rubber. Drawbacks of raw rubber. Raw rubber is obtained after processing. That means in the two above said processes, we are obtaining the raw rubber, and if the raw rubber is going to be used straight without any further processing or treatment, then we will get some drawbacks or we need to face some disadvantages. Let us see what are the disadvantages of using the raw rubber as it is. Number one, it is a plastic in nature. It becomes soft at high temperature and too brittle at low temperature. It can be used only between 10 to 60 degrees centigrade only. Suppose if raw rubber need to be used without further processing, because of its plastic nature, at high temperature it becomes very soft and at low temperatures it becomes very brittle, and only between 10 to 60 degrees centigrade only this can be used. So it is a limitation. There are very few situations or circumstances where this temperature only can be maintained. So the utility or usage of raw rubber as it is definitely limited in this form. Number two disadvantage is it is weak and its tensile strength is only 200 kg per centimeter square. That means per centimeter square centimeter it can bear only 200 kgs of load only. That is, it is less weight bearing capacity. That means it is weak as far as the tensile strength is concerned. Number third disadvantage of using natural rubber is it has large water absorption capacity. This natural rubber has the tendency to absorb large quantities of water and therefore its utility is limited. Then number four, it is not resistant to non-polar solvents like oils, benzene and calcium and chlorine, etc. That means it is susceptible to polar solvents like benzene and oils. That means either it will get dissolved in those substances when it come in contact. So the use of natural rubber, raw rubber, is limited because of this disadvantage. The fifth disadvantage, it's get oxidized easily in the air due to oxidizing agents like nitric acid, sulfuric acid, etc. The rubber loses its elastic property due to this. So this is easily oxidized when it come in contact with the oxidizing agent like nitric acid or sulfuric acid, which means after oxidization, the elastic property is lost. So its use will not be there. It dissolves and disintegrates in organic solvents. So this raw rubber is get easily dissolved in organic solvents. Therefore, its use is limited. Seventh is it has a little durability. As far as the durability is concerned, it will not last for long. That means its lifespan is very less. So it is a disadvantage. Finally, eighth point, when stretched to a great extent, it suffers permanent deformation. So this raw rubber, when it is stretched beyond certain limit, by even after releasing that stretched force, it will not regain its original position. It will get permanently deformed. So this is also one disadvantage of using the raw rubber. Then compounding of rubber. So compounding of rubber is the treatment of raw rubber, that is synthetic or natural, with other substances so as to impart the product specific properties suitable for a particular job. So till now we have studied what is the disadvantages of using the raw rubber. Let the raw rubber either be natural raw rubber or it can be a artificial raw rubber. So when we need to use it raw rubber, then we need to face so many above said disadvantages. To overcome this, the raw rubbers are subjected to compounding process. What is the compounding process? This compounding of rubber means treating this type of raw rubber, either synthetic raw rubber or natural raw rubber, with other substances with a purpose of imparting the specific properties that are required for the user. That is, for a particular job, what type of material is required. Accordingly, we will treat the raw rubber with such substances. The following materials may be incorporated to the raw rubbers. So, in the following paragraphs, we will study what type of materials are need to be added to this raw rubber to get a desirable quality. Let us see one by one. First one, softeners and plasticizers. These are the materials to give added to give the rubber greater tenacity and adhesiveness. When we want to give the character or nature of greater tenacity, that means strength, or to have great tensile strength, or adhesiveness, అతుక్కునే గుణం, strength కావాలనుకున్నప్పుడు సాఫనర్స్ లేక ప్లాస్టిసైజర్స్ ను యాడ్ చేస్తాం. ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఏంటంటే వెజిటబుల్ ఆయిల్, వ్యాక్సెస్ అండ్ స్టీరిక్ యాసిడ్. సెకండ్, vulcanizing agents. The most important vulcanizing agent used is sulfur. So the natural raw rubber or artificial raw rubbers, when need to be used efficiently, they need to be undergo a process called vulcanization, and the material used is called vulcanizing agents. This vulcanizing, the best example is sulfur. Amount of sulfur added varies between 0.15 to 32% depending upon the nature of the product required. So in the vulcanization process, what happens is sulfur is being added to the raw rubber in various proportions. That is, ranging from 0.15% to 32%. Depending upon the nature of the product, we need to manufacture. Other vulcanizing agents are sulfur monochloride, hydrogen sulfide, benzyl chloride, trinitrobenzene, alkyl phenol sulfides. These are the other substances which are known as vulcanizing agents containing mostly sulfur. Okay, then third, materials that are used, accelerators. These are the materials when added drastically shortens the time required for vulcanization. When the raw rubber is subjected to vulcanization and to accelerate the speed of that reaction, certain substances are added, they are called accelerators. Example, 2-mercaptol, benzothiazole and zinc alkyl xanthate. These are the substances that are used as an accelerator to speed up the process of vulcanization of raw rubber. Then the fourth one is called antioxidants. Antioxidant materials are added to natural rubber to prevent its oxidation. So we already know that if the rubber undergoes oxidation, its properties are lost and its utility will be of less value. So all these raw rubbers need to be subjected to antioxidant treatment. That is, antioxidant material need to be added to these natural rubbers to prevent it from oxidation reactions. Examples of these antioxidants are phenyl naphthalene amine and phosphides. Then the fifth one is reinforcing fillers. These are added to give strength and rigidity to the rubber products. Example of these fillers are carbon black, zinc oxide, calcium carbonate and magnesium carbonates. Sixthly, coloring matter. These coloring matters are added to give the desired color to the product. So these rubber products, to have different colors, one need to add some coloring agents also to get the color. Example of such coloring matters are titanium dioxide when you want to have the white colored product. Chromium oxide is used when you want to get green color. Ferric oxide to get the red color, and to get yellow color we need to add a lead chromate. Students are requested to remember all these also. Then compounding process. What is a compounding process? Properly weighed amounts of different ingredients are mixed and then kneaded or masticated using a roll mill. So what is compounding means? We already mentioned what are the various substances to be added to the raw rubber to get the desired product or desired color with desired characteristics. All these materials along with the raw rubber need to be properly weighed to arrive at the correct quantity of the material to be used, and these ingredients are mixed and kneaded or masticated using a roll mill. So after mixing all these things, it will be masticated, means it will be crushed using a roll mill. This is called the compounding process. During this mastication process, the material is softened by continuous breakdown, and for this process, a roll mill is used, which consisting of horizontal rolls rotating in opposite direction. The rolls are generally made hollow so that the cold and hot water can be circulated in them to maintain the desired temperature. In these roll mills, This raw rubber along with the required substances are crushed by the rollers, which are in fact hollow in nature. That means inside to that either you can use cold water or hot water of different temperatures, so that required temperatures can be maintained while the material is being masticated. That is, while the material is being crushed, the desired temperature can be maintained by putting the hot water or steam water in these hollow rollers of the machine. After passing the mixer several times through the mill, the rubber material forms a sufficiently coherent plastic and soft mass. After this continuous passing through of the mixture of this through the roll mills several times, finally we will get a soft and plastic like coherent material after this compounding process. Then vulcanization of rubber, very important topic from the examination point of view also. What is the vulcanization of rubber? To improve the properties of raw rubber, it is compounded with some chemicals like sulfur, hydrogen sulfide, benzoyl chloride, etc. This is called vulcanization. So, what is a vulcanization? As we already studied, that we need to add various substances for different purposes to the raw rubber to get a desired products. Here, in the vulcanization process, what we do is to the raw rubber, we will add sulfur through addition of sulfur or hydrogen sulfide or benzyl chloride, etc. This is called vulcanization. This was discovered by Charles Goodyear in 1839. So this process and the name of the scientist and year also important. The scientist is Charles Goodyear. Name itself is Charles Goodyear is the name in fact. And in 1839, he has found out this process of vulcanization. Most important is addition of sulfur. In the vulcanization process, this bit is also important. What is really added to the raw rubber is sulfur. So addition of sulfur to the raw rubber is known as vulcanization. So vulcanization process consisting of heating the raw rubber with sulfur to 100 to 140 degrees centigrade. In the vulcanization process, what actually happens is at a temperature of 100 to 140 degrees centigrade, sulfur is being added to the raw rubber. The added sulfur combines chemically at the double bonds of different rubber springs and cross links. So, this vulcanization process is very important to make the rubber to have a desirable characters is chemically combining the double bonds of different rubber springs. As we already know, the macromolecules of rubber are one type of it will be in a polymer form. It will be in the form of a springs, as we already explained. After vulcanization, sulfur will join the various spring structures of the polymer across it. So it will become strong. Vulcanization process consisting in heating the raw rubber with sulfur to 100 to 140 degrees. The added sulfur combines chemically at the double bonds of the different springs and cross links. So this sulfur chemically combines the double bonds of different rubber springs and cross links. Very important point to remember. This is the essence of the vulcanization process in fact. So vulcanization rubber springs. Extent of stiffness of vulcanized rubber depends on the amount of sulfide added. For example, a tire rubber may contain 3 to 5% sulfur, but a battery case rubber may contain as much as 30% sulfur. So this is also very important thing to remember. Depending upon our requirement, the percentage of sulfur that is being added to the raw rubber in the vulcanization process will differ. For example, if you want to get tire rubber, that is the rubber to be used in the manufacturing of a automobile tires, then through vulcanization process, we need to add 3 to 5% of sulfur only. Whereas when we want to make a battery case, then the sulfur should be at 30%. Okay, so this is the molecular structures, how the vulcanization process changes the structure, we can see. That is raw or unvulcanized rubber springs. As we already know, the rubber monomers are the rubber polymers, or in the form of very big chains, which are in fact like a spring structure. It is given straight, but in fact it will be like a spring structure. Just for easy understanding, they are given it as a straight chains. This is one rubber, unvulcanized rubber spring. Imagine this is another unvulcanized rubber spring. After vulcanization, what happens? These two springs, like rubber molecules, natural rubber molecules or raw rubber molecules, after vulcanization, they are joined by these sulfur molecules. See, sulfur is there. They'll be joined. Two ring-like structures will be joined by sulfur. This is called sulfur cross-link. So because of this, the vulcanized rubber will form, which will have a desirable characters, which can be used for different purposes. So vulcanization of raw rubber with sulfur as vulcanizing agent. This also students need to remember and write in the examination when a question is asked about the vulcanization process, which is a very important question, right? Vulcanite or ebonite or hard rubber. Hard rubber contains about 32% of sulfur. The cross-linking of isoprene spiral is attained to such an extent that vulcanite has practically no elasticity. So these rubber molecules, in other words, they are the isoprene molecules. When these isoprene molecules are the after addition polymerization become a spring-like structures, and when sulfur is added to the extent of 32% through vulcanization process, these spring structures become so tough and unflexible, it cannot be easily stretched, and it will become very stiff and without any elasticity. It cannot be stretched, and it becomes so tough, and becomes very abrasive resistant, and it can be molded, and it can be drilled. That means it become very hard substance, and it can even be polished. That means a soft flexible rubber can be made into hard and tough material by addition of extra sulfur, that is to the extent of 32%. If it has extremely good electrical insulation property, in addition to this, because of high sulfur content, the material becomes so hard and abrasive resistant, and it also becomes extremely good electrical insulating material also. Then advantages of vulcanization. And this is also important matter to be remembered by the students. Vulcanized rubber has the following advantages over raw rubber. So somewhere in the previous discussion, we told various disadvantages of using the raw rubber as it is. So kindly remember those things, and compared to that, What are the advantages of using the vulcanized rubber? Now we are going to see. So vulcanized rubber has the following advantages over raw rubber. Compared to raw rubber, vulcanizing rubber has got the following advantages. One, good tensile strength and extensibility. So tensile strength of vulcanized rubber is definitely better than the unvulcanized or raw rubber. Number two, excellent resilience. Resilience means power of recovering quickly. Suppose after stretching, and if it recovers its original position of when the force of stretching is released, that is called is resilience. So vulcanized rubber has got excellent resilience capacity. That means this type of rubber will regain its position when the stress force is released very fast. Then number three, low water absorbing tendency. Compared to raw rubber, this vulcanized rubber has got very low water absorbing tendency. Number four, high resistance to oxidation, abrasion, wear and tear, and organic solvents compared to raw rubber. Compared to raw rubber, this is highly resistant to oxidation process, vibration and wear and tear, అరుగుదల ఇవి కూడా దీనికి తక్కువ. అంతేకాకుండా ఆర్గానిక్ సాల్వెంట్స్లో ఇది అంత తొందరగా కరగదు. ఫిఫ్త్, బెటర్ ఎలక్ట్రికల్ ఇన్సులేషన్ ప్రాపర్టీస్. సో ఎలక్ట్రికల్ ఇన్సులేషన్ వైస్ ఆల్సో this vulcanized rubber is better than the raw rubber. It is useful in temperature range between -40 to 100 degrees. In the previous case, when we are studying about raw rubber, it is effective or it can be used effectively between 10 to 60 degrees centigrade. That is, it is very limited range where this can be used. Whereas this volcanic rubber can be used at a wide range of temperatures. For example, it can be used between -40 degrees centigrade even up to 100 degrees centigrade. Naturally, its usage will be very wide. So that means it can be used under variety of conditions in which the temperature can vary between -40 to 100 degrees centigrade also. Seventh point, its elasticity is low compared to raw rubber. That means raw rubber can be extended to a larger extent. That means its elasticity is very high, whereas vulcanized rubber has got low elasticity. So the same points are given in a tabulated form, and this also students need to remember comparison of raw rubber and vulcanized rubber. This is also very important. This is nothing but what we studied up to now are given in a tabular form in a concise way in one place, so that it can be easily understood and can be remembered well. So let us once again see these things. There are nearly 9 properties under which natural rubber or raw rubber and vulcanized rubber are compared. Number one property is tensile strength. Raw rubber is low, that is at 200 kg per centimeter square. That is, vulcanized rubber can bear up to 10 times higher load than the raw rubber before it is breaks. That means here it is 200 kg per square centimeter. Here it is 2000 kg per centimeter. That means it can tolerate a load of 2000 kgs per centimeter square of the rubber, whereas raw rubber only up to 200 kg. Okay. Second, elongation at break. Here 1200% it elongates. That means it can be stretched, whereas vulcanized it is only 800. Third, rapidity of retraction coming back to the original state. That is after stretching. Here it is good. Vulcanized rubber, it is very good, right? 4. Swelling in organic solvent, that is solubility, whether it will be soluble in organic solvents. It is highly soluble, that is infinite. Here the insoluble, that is very limited. That means vulcanized rubber is almost insoluble, whereas raw rubber is soluble in organic solvents. Next, tacking, that is sticking together of two fresh rubber pieces. Tacking nature means two rubber pieces sticking together. It is high for the raw rubber, whereas it is very low for the or slight for the vulcanized rubber. Sixth property, water absorption. High for the raw rubber and it is very slight or low for the vulcanized rubber. Can be used in the temperature range. We already discussed to 60 degrees. Here it is minus 40 to 100 degrees centigrade. Chemical resistance very poor and it is much better in vulcanized rubber. Elasticity very high, that is more than 300, we told 300 to even up to 1000%. Compared to this, the vulcanized rubber has got low elasticity. These are the comparative properties of both types of the rubbers. Okay, then synthetic or artificial rubbers, otherwise known as elastomers. An elastomer or artificial rubber is any vulcanizable man-made rubber-like polymer which can be stretched to at least twice its length but returns to its original shape and dimensions as soon as stretching force is released. Very important. Students definitely should read and understand and remember it. Why? Because there are so many critical words that need to be remembered. So, artificial rubber or elastomer or synthetic rubber, what it means or what is the definition, or if a question is asked about describe elastomers, we need to mention all the critical points. You see, an elastomer or artificial rubber is any vulcanizable. It should be, a material should be vulcanizable. That means it can be put to vulcanization process and man-made. It should be artificial. It is not natural. Man-made rubber like polymer. It is not rubber like polymer which can be stretched at least twice to its length. It should be stretchable at least twice. That means if 10 centimeters length is there, rubber in its rest position, when it is stretched, it should at least become 20 centimeters length and but returns to its original shape and dimension as soon as the stretching force is released. And at the same time, after releasing the stretching, it must be in a position to go back to its original position and original shape and dimension. So this is the very critical words need to be remembered when we want to answer the question on elastomers or artificial rubbers. Okay. The main type of artificial rubbers are as follows. What are these? Are the examples for artificial rubbers produced on large scale. The names are sterile rubber, nitrile rubber, butyl rubber, neoprene, polysulfide rubber, silicon rubber. These names one need to remember. Then styrene rubber. Let us see what is this with their molecular structures. So in the styrene rubber, it is the most important type of artificial rubber. It is produced by copolymerization of butadiene and styrene, taking in about 3:1 ratio. This styrene rubber is manufactured by copolymerization of butadiene and styrene. When butadiene at 75 parts and styrene at 25 parts, that is C4 and H6 plus C8 and H8. When this chemical reaction proceeds, that is, it is called copolymerization. These two monomers, butadiene monomer and styrene monomer, combined under process called copolymerization to form polybutadiene co-styrene, that is styrene rubber. Okay, this also student need to remember how the structure looks like here. After copolymerization, how the molecular structure of this styrene rubber looks like. Then properties of this styrene rubber. Styrene rubber resembles natural rubber in processing characteristics as well as quality of finished product. So it's something like a natural rubber as far as the processing characters and the quality of the finished product is concerned. It possesses high abrasive resistance, high load bearing capacity, and resilience. However, it gets easily oxidized in the presence of traces of ozone. It can be vulcanized like a natural rubber. So here, this terrain rubber has got one disadvantage, that it is easily oxidizable in the presence of even small quantities of ozone. But for that, it is as good as natural vulcanized rubber. Okay. Uses mainly used for manufacturing motor tires, that is automobile tires. It is also used for floor tiles, shoe soles, that is the under portion of the shoes soles, gaskets, that is used in pressure cookers, footwear components, wires and cables and insulators, adhesive tapes. These are the various types of product that are manufactured by using this type of rubber. The second one is nitrile rubber. It is also a copolymer of butadiene and acrylonitrile. So butadiene and acrylonitrile copolymerization will result in the nitrile rubber. So you can see the structure of 1,3-butadiene and acrylonitrile. Under copolymerization, what happens? Polybutadiene acrylonitrile. This is the molecule known as nitrile rubber. It is a polymer. Okay. Then what is its properties? It possesses excellent resistance to heat, sunlight, oil, acids and salts, but less resistant to alkali than natural rubber. Compared to natural rubber, this is less resistant to alkali. Other than that, it is as good as natural rubber. Vulcanized nitrile rubber is more resistant to heat and aging than the natural rubber. It may be exposed to high temperatures. Compared to natural rubber, this can be exposed to high temperatures. This is an advantage. Uses for making conveyor belts, high altitude aircraft components, hoses, printing and rollers, and adhesives. These are the various uses of this type of rubber. So, with this, we are concluding the last lecture number 16 in course number 153, that is engineering chemistry course meant for diploma in agriculture engineering students. And I wish all the best for the agriculture engineering students in their coming examinations. As I already informed, the students who are preparing for the examinations, if they get any doubt about this course number 153 in any chapter, they can get their clarification either directly calling me at my phone number, or they can join the WhatsApp group for a combined discussion, or it can be discussed during the online classes through Zoom meetings. Thank you very much.